everyone. Thanks for joining me today as we continue our series on the plane of expression. I'm Carol from Practical Mystic. As many of you may already know, this is the third in our series where we interpret and look at the full lines of three numbers that are formed when we take our date of birth and accurately place it in the Pythagorean triangle. And this is what I mean by that. For those of you who are just tuning in, the series started out with the Pythagorean triangles, and you take your date of birth and the numbers that you have fall into these slots and areas of the two intertwined triangles called the Pythagorean triangle. And just to quickly recap the planes of expression that we've done so far, again, it is three numbers in succession. We did the thought, the line of thought, and that is number 1, 2, and 3. Then we went on to the line of action, and that was number 7, 8, and 9 in your Pythagorean triangle. The next video I did was on the plane of expression called the will, and that's right in the center of the triangle. It's very important, and that is number 4, 5, and 6. And today we are going to be discussing the next line, which is the first of the diagonal lines, and it is called the plane of purpose or determination, and it's made up of number 1, 5, and 9. And it's very common. A lot of you will have it because of most of us listening, or you may know someone that was born in the 1950s. A lot of you already have a 1 and a 9 if you're born in the 1950s or in the month of May. There's a lot of ways that you can get that extra 5 in the center. Okay, friends, so what does the line of purpose, also called determination, mean when you have it in your Pythagorean triangle? Well, I have my paperwork here, make it easy. And of course, a lot of you say you take a screenshot, and that is excellent because you're working with not only your charts, but maybe family members or children. And this can help you form almost like a little booklet since we're doing these weekly. So analyzing the plane of expression known as the line of purpose, number 1, 5, and 9, do realize that some books, and there's not a lot of books out on the Pythagorean triangle, but they do also call it the line or the plane of determination. And the individual having this number combination most likely with current amount of persistence usually achieve their goals. Now, right here is where I want to say that if the individual has this line of purpose, as well as the previous video we just did has the number 4 and 6 called the line of will, then yes, you are definitely going to have a great amount of persistence, and you will most likely achieve your goals. Now below is the qualities of the numbers, and each person will have them in varying degree. And what I mean by that is some people might have a lot of 1s but only 1 5, numerous 9s, or 1 9 and possibly 2 5s. And that blend indicates these key words. So they could have a lot of unity. Number one, we're going to use the word unity. We're going to use something else that I will bring up later on in our interpretation. But for right now, we're looking at the number one as bringing unity. Number five, versatility. And it sure is, because when we look at the number five and where it sits in the Pythagorean triangle, it touches every other 8 numbers. The 5 touches the 2, the 8, the 3, the 6, the 9, the 1, the 4, and the 5. It is a balancing number. It relates to the planet Jupiter. It expands, it grows, and in the Pythagorean triangle, it means that it has influence of and aids, or sometimes doesn't aid, depending on how many, of the numbers all around, because it is in that center point. So, those possessing this line are somewhat methodical in how they view and plan their next course of action. With having just one number one, most have their feet on the ground. Now, I say that because the number one falls on what we call the physical plane, 1, 4, and 7. So just having this 1, 9 is very important. It's the roots of the individual. So they usually have both feet on the ground and know what it will take to achieve a successful outcome. They're idealistic, they're hardworking, and they seek to make a positive difference for all concerned. So as a whole, the line of purpose is very giving. It is action oriented. It wants to do. It is a responsible energy. It needs to keep busy as well. So what are the weaknesses? Because each of the lines can have weaknesses. Again, it depends on the whole chart of the numbers in your own personal 5-pointed star. But these are the common weaknesses. The knowledge to know when something isn't meant for them to do. When obstacles are there to teach you a vital lessons for future successes. I'm going to talk about this a little more. There is usually obstacles for anyone who is in business, corporations, large families, leaders, teachers, coaches. And those obstacles, after a while, are viewed as a bump in the road, or I've got to get through this. So they persevere, they keep going at it, they keep hitting it, they try different angles, different strategies, and it becomes almost ingrained in them, and they don't know when to let up and realize that these obstacles are there to teach them something. They have to step back and say, okay, I'm not supposed to fulfill this particular mission, or I'm not going to get this job or this promotion, or I'm not going to be able to finish this project, and it's okay. Because one of the lessons for the individual with the line of purpose is to use their intuition and past experience to know the difference when, yes, this obstacle is here for me to overcome, to learn something, to not give up, to be persistent, or this obstacle is here because it wasn't meant for me to do, or what is in front of me is for something for me to learn. There could be a humbling experience. There could be something to do with taking out your own ego in some way. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Okay, here's our variables. because there's always variables by how many numbers are in the line of purpose. Okay, if there are 2 or more ones in the chart, there is greater emphasis on the individual's personal goals and interests. They have their skin in it, let's say. Their purpose could be centered around security, setting a foundation to ensure continued success and security. Their identity is attached. With 2 5s, this adds additional heart and soul to one's purpose. Let's go back and look at our numbers, because the numbers 2, 5, and 8 fall on what is called the plane of heart, the plane of soul. So if we have a lot of 5s, then this is why we say there is a vested emotional interest. There is usually multiple reasons when this individual strives so hard to get things done. If there is 3 5s, it could bring too much emotional ties and emotional attachment. It could also scatter one's ability to focus, especially if there are 3 or more 9s. Now, 9 is the number of the intellect. It is more than the other 2 numbers that have to do with thinking and reasoning, because this is our thinking, our intellect, our head here, 3, 6, and 9. The 9 has really, let's say, graduated. This may be a thought. This may be refined thinking and reasoning and evaluation. But the 9 usually takes in, because in order to get to 9, you have your 3s. You have 2 3s, you have 6, you add another 3, you have 9. So that is why oftentimes we hear 9 talking about the end number, the completing number. So when there are many 9s, the motivational drive with 3 or more 9s could be viewed as follows. It could become very complicated. Let's look at that. 3 or more 9s intensifies of one's purpose, causing tunnel vision sometimes, to be strong-headed, and they have difficulty in changing courses of actions, changing gears, stopping the momentum. Their tunnel vision or their view is so set on, this is the way it's got to be, it's been done like this before, or this is what I believe, that they lose sight, and that intensity of purpose can be self-defeating. Another way of viewing it is may become obsessive with a project, an interest, an idea, or a goal. Now, 3 number 1s along with 3 number 9s or more adds personal attachment and identity. This is your baby. Your 1 is also connected with the individual ego, how you want to be perceived. When it's out of balance, you have misguided pride and arrogance. So we have to really look at how this line is made up and be cautious of using all the power of these numbers in a constructive way. They could also be too idealistic, with a lot of 9s in the individual. Their head gets above their feet. Their heads are in the cloud almost. They're multitasking. They sometimes have trouble slowing down their mind and their thinking. So how do we balance all this? Because there's always a way to balance. Having a number 4 in the chart brings the best type of grounding energy and practicality. Let's bring back our complete star here, and we know that the 1 is grounding. The 4 has the power of being next to the 7 if there is ascending, but it helps that number 1 that we know we already have here. So it gives it practicality. It gives it grounding. 4 says, okay, get out of your ego identity here and look for the good of the all. Let's balance everything, because 4 is in the center of the triangle. All right, if not, let's say you don't have a number 4 in your chart. If not in your date of birth, then maybe you have it as a life path number or a benefit number. Or I even look to see, especially when this line has multiple 1s and multiple 9s, if we can balance that by having a number 4 prominent in one's name. Now, the 3 alphabets, letters that vibrate to the number 4 are the letters D, M, and V. Also, your name is going to have 1 number. All 3 of your names, if you have a middle name, will have numbers. So we look for that number 4 in multiple places in your name as well, and that will help balance. Learning to be patient is often difficult for those possessing this line of purpose or determination. Here again, the number 4 is quite helpful. To sum up, if you have this, you're devoted, having honorable intentions to serve, to be responsible, and really to contribute to society and have your own independence, also your self-worth, to knowing that you roll up your sleeve, you get the job done, you're not going to give away your power, and you're going to take responsibility for those things that are given to you to handle. All right, everyone, if you have any questions, as always, feel free to contact me via my email or in the comment section. Thanks, everyone, for joining me. We'll talk again soon. Bye for now.